Hello, folks. I bet you thought I was going to be at the desk. Well, I'm not. It occurred to me that it might be good to change it up every once in a while. What if I'm in a new setting every single time? That might be even more worthwhile. And then maybe every once in a while I bring the desk back in. I feel like that would be pretty exciting. I visited Seattle recently, and I visited my friend, amongst other people. I visited my friend Maggie. By the way, these are swords that my roommate Ryan got. He's pretty excited about them. Anyway, yeah, I visited Seattle, and Tacoma as well, and I asked my friend Maggie if she wanted to do a podcast episode on the Verbal Journal, and she said absolutely. I will say, I thought it was a good episode, but my toxic trait is monopolizing conversations, and I've gotten a lot better at that. But there was something about this episode I failed at that. I monopolized the conversation quite a bit, which is unfortunate. It didn't make it a dud. It is on YouTube after all. But yeah, kind of did that a bit. But it was a hell of a conversation. I think part of the reason why I did that was because we were outside. It was really hot. New environment, a lot of noises. We had my sister's dog with us. His leash was around one of the bikes. So we had to keep an eye on him at all times, make sure he didn't run into the street and get hit by a car. That would be unfortunate. But yeah, Maggie's one of my good friends. I've known her for, I think, 5 years now. She's a sweetheart, graphic designer, very talented individual. We also talked about her possibly making a graphic for the Verbal Journal. So that would be exciting. So yeah, All right, this is the Verbal Journal with Maggie. Enjoy. Okay, a side note here. I forgot to turn on the camera for the first little bit of it. I'm looking here. I think it's 17 minutes. The first 17 minutes, it's only audio. But after that, there is video. So, Sorry. All right, enjoy.
Daydreaming, I stay in the backseat. The slow beat rocks me back to sleep, keeps me on automatic. Press my face up close against the glass. I see the people when they pass, they move so.
Do a little tester.
Test.
Oh, that's good.
Is that good? Okay.
I think so. I don't know. Whatever.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been through audio problems before, so.
Yeah, we have major audio problems.
Oh, God, that sucked. That was such a good podcast, too.
It was a good podcast.
Yeah.
The second one was good, too, but as I've talked to you about, I was like...
we basically had to, rehash a lot of, the same stuff, right?
Baron, come here.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, my sister's dog here. My sister's frolicking around, and the dog's frolicking around as well.
She left us with the child.
Can you imagine if he gets hit by a car and then it's our problem?
Why would you say that? Now I'm thinking about it.
Do you believe in speaking things into existence, or do you think everything's just predetermined?
I don't know, because I feel like whenever I do bring something up, it happens. Right?
Okay.
But also I feel like that's a symptom of anxiety. It's if I'm afraid of something or if I think of something enough, it won't happen to me because I'm prepared for it and I thought of it. So I protected myself against it spiritually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Spiritually, it's probably bullshit, but it's how I operate. It's how I've survived this long. So
that's kind of us. That's kind of us encapsulated as human beings.
It is.
Just we have these ideologies in place where we feel protected. Mm-hmm. That's kind of the job of our brain, is to protect us.
That's genuinely all it is.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of seeking comfort and familiarity. That's because we're seeking comfort at all times.
We're animals. That's genuinely what it is.
So yeah, to whom it may concern, we are live from Wallingford, Seattle, on the west side, best spot in Washington.
Yeah.
I heard a lot of people have been spewing bullshit towards me about they're like, dude, the hiking in Spokane's just as pretty as Seattle and Tacoma and Bellingham, dude. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And this mostly comes from my dad, who thinks that he was like, he said Bellingham's kind of a dump. He's like, why do you like it there so much? I'm like, not true, sir.
Kind of rude.
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, he doesn't like the hippie vibe of Bellingham. But
Yeah, we've talked about this on the phone before. But
Yeah.
you spent a solid half a decade there. I spent 3 years there, and the sentiment that everybody reaches when they depart Bellingham is one that I was on my way to reaching, which is like, I think I'm done. I think it's enough.
100%.
Because at first, like the sort of claustrophobic nature of the city is extremely appealing to some people. That's how it was for me. Because in Spokane, which is the second biggest city in Washington, everything's like a 20-minute drive away. So moving to Bellingham and then everything's like a 6 to 8 minute drive away. I mean, that was so appealing. But then it got to the point where I was so familiar with everything that it was just kind of like, it's like I could do without it now.
Yeah, my experience was kind of similar to that. Like you said, very like wide open, but also Seattle is sort of like, I'm sure people say this about New York and like LA and stuff, but it was the center of the universe for me when I grew up here. Right. So it was nice to be able to like go away and like have my own place that like no one in like my immediate family had ever like been to or lived in, and like I was able to create that community there. And it was really good when you're like 18 and you're leaving home for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, this is awesome. These people are so cool. And I got like really into the hippie stuff, and let's be real, I got into the other hippie stuff too, as most Westerners do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it happens. If you go to Western, you're gonna be a pothead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you gonna get demonetized if I say that?
No.
Okay, cool.
But I mean, the thing about demonetization is that it's not something that I really even pay any attention to, because I don't think I'm ever going to make $1 from this, and that is completely fine with me.
Yeah.
I had a kid in high school when I would forego homework to do my videos for 6-7 hours. He'd be like, "Why do you do the videos if you're not making money?" And I'm like, Why are you on the wrestling team if you're not getting paid for it? I love it.
The love of the game, my friend.
Love of the game.
That's the love of the game.
But yeah, it's Bellingham's an interesting place. I think I had my therapist ask me, she's like, "Is that somewhere you'd return to?" And I was like, "Absolutely not.
God, no.
It's not my place anymore.
No.
It just doesn't. I've changed so much. It doesn't. It couldn't possibly fit who I am now, But it was absolutely incredible when I was there, and it was just an awesome place. I do want to visit there, sort of, but I also don't know if I actually do, because now that Diego moved out, I have no contacts there anymore.
No reason to.
Right.
Yeah. I think it got really tainted during COVID for me too, because it was a horrible place to be stuck during COVID.
Yeah,
it was too dark. There was nothing open. It was like really rainy. There was just a lot of like weird drama happening in our house, as you know, and which came with everybody. I mean, like we weren't special in that regard, but like it sucked genuinely. But when I left, I sort of had this like Stockholm syndrome like appreciation of it, where I was like, God, I miss it. I want to go back. Like all my friends were there. I love everything there. And I think like I didn't go back until like 1.5 2 years after I had left with a new group of people. And I like showed up and I was like, oh, I forgot why I hated this place while I was like living here. Yeah, because it genuinely, like Bellingham is kind of a degenerate town. Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Weird shit that happens there.
Yeah, and everyone kind of becomes like a little gross, It's like showering, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's so.
Showering
is so conservative. It's such a conservative thing to do.
You joke, but I think I met a couple people that were like that. Yeah, there were definitely people that like literally were like anything that is considered like you're making yourself healthier, you're working out, you're trying to better yourself.
It's toxic.
Is toxic, and you're perpetuating like issues within society. So like, but then also like straight up. Downtown was like full of the most like psychotic people you've ever met in your life. I mean, like I remember walking out of like a corner store at night and like there's just a suitcase sitting outside, and I was like, that's weird that this big suitcase is just sitting out here. As I'm leaving, this other woman comes up and she's like, is that your suitcase? And I was like, no, I don't know whose it is. She's like, I'm gonna steal it, and literally grabs it and runs away. And I was like, that was not the reaction I was anticipating. Yeah, it was crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, it was literally crazy.
I don't know, what year did you go there?
2017.
2017, okay. So that I'd be really interested to hear about your perspective, because I moved there in July of 2019, and 6 months later, COVID started.
Oh, you didn't even get to experience it pre-COVID.
Not really.
Yeah, because pre-COVID it was actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
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 But like I said, I think the perspective really comes from like your 18-year-old self versus like your 21 to 22-year-old self, which are very different people.
Totally.
Yeah, like it's not that much of an age gap, but there is so much maturation. Is that the right word? Maturation. Yeah, there's so much maturation that happens in that time period that like you don't realize that you will be a different person once you leave. I got there, and like I said, you know, I was so like enamored by like all of the kind of hippie culture, like alternative culture, which I already kind of was, right? I came from Seattle, and all that stuff was really fun and really cool, and like we made a bunch of friends, and like we were running around doing like all the college things, but it was like more in like a woodsy town, so like there was a lot of like going into the woods to smoke, and then like running around, or like, you know, hiking. Like I remember
smoking.
Yeah, and smoking. Let's be real, I was like high a lot of the time in my freshman year because it was so cool and new to me.
Yeah.
And then but then like the winters were really brutal. Like that's because it gets darker up there than it does in Seattle because it's closer to Canada. And it actually gets like, I guess Seattle actually gets darker than Chicago in the winter because the way that the earth curves, it goes this instead of like this, like it is on the map.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was one of the towns that had like one of the earliest sunsets, and then I think created like just so much weird tension during those months. Like the winters were really brutal. So I think like, yeah, pre-COVID it was really fun, and then like I was in an apartment with Carson and Chris, my old roommates, and that was actually like a pretty good year. I feel like things were pretty stable then because I was out of the dorms because the dorms suck. The first dorms I was in. What's up? You want to be part of the podcast?
Don't interrupt the production, Baron.
Is he gonna get hot in the sun?
He's fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was with them, and I was not in the dorms because I was in like Mathis, which was a terrible dorm. It's like full of
that
like,
rings a bell.
Mathis. Yeah. Because at first I was in the Ridge, which was like the sorority, like the Greek life dorms, because they didn't have that, but they had people that wanted that, so they all went to the ones that literally were called Kappa, Delta, Gamma. Like, it rings true. And then I went to Mathis, and that was just full of the most like uptight, boring human beings ever.
What, like their ability, their identity was solely based on their beliefs?
On school. Like, they didn't hang out with people. Ooh. They didn't, like, they never wanted to be around people. They never wanted to do anything fun. They were only there for school and to go home and watch Netflix. And my roommate was like that, and all my friends were, like, living in this really cool house, and I was really jealous, like, watching them, like, have this great time in this house, and it really wasn't great for them. Like, they were also going through their own struggles with, like, their weird roommate issues or wherever, but, like, I was like, damn, I feel like I'm really missing out on, like, a potential, you know, like, cool college situation, which I ended up having once we moved into the apartment, and I got like a bunch of friends over, and all that was good. And then like literally everything like disappeared. Like COVID happened, all that, like people left. Like I moved home for 6 months. I think like I stayed home for spring quarter and then all of summer, obviously. Yeah. And then coming back, it was just like totally different. After that, it kind of like I legitimately was just like, what happened? But then, like, we started hanging out, and then, like, we did have a lot of friends during that time period. Like, we still had, like, a really good social life around that time. But also, like, when you're stuck in a house with everybody, like, it genuinely just creates, like, so many problems. Yeah, and there was, like, and it was heightened because there was, like, this thing happening. Wow, thanks for ruining that really good take, sir. But yeah, so like, yeah, at that point, I mean, obviously, like, I'm happy about those times because they do kind of like help you mature. Right? Yeah, and so like kind of realizing that like not everything is going to be set up for you to succeed, and you're going to have to go through some like really tough times is like good, but it was like especially rough. Yeah, it was especially bad, and then, like, by the end of it, I was like, get me the fuck out of Bellingham. Like, I can't be here anymore. Yeah, it was too gross to me at that point.
Yeah, it's weird. I remember there's one memory I have in particular where, you know, and I'm not trying to get all political here at all, which somehow this is political, I don't know, but I was over at your house, and, you know, and
I was trying not to say their names.
Yeah, I can bleep it out.
Yeah, do it.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And we're sitting on the couch, and I guess this might have been like, I think this was around the time where masks were sort of introduced. But one of the positive things about me living in Bellingham is my loved ones were 6.5 hours away. Yeah. So I was just there with my other friends who were in their 20s, and we're just kind of like, dude, let's just take a chance. Let's just hang out inside, like whatever. And there was this sort of virtue signaling that was happening between and where they were sitting on the couch and they were each wearing masks. And I think that idea was kind of like was birthed by. You know?
Of course it was.
Right.
Like, literally, I will say this now, like, she used COVID as, like, a pawn in their relationship. Like, she used it to control him.
To establish the idea of her being in control?
Literally, like, either you do what I say, or I'm going to use this to, like, guilt you into, like, doing exactly what I say. Basically, that's what it was. Like, this was around the time that, like, COVID tests took, like, 3 days to, like, you know, get the results, whereas now it's, like, rapid.
Yeah.
But back then, when they first started, like, fucking, right? It wasn't like totally like solid yet, but she was like, I will not come over if you have friends over. I will not come over until you get a negative COVID test. And so he literally would be like, can you not invite people over? And I was like, no. Like, I think, what are you talking about? Like, this is my entire social life right now,
right?
And it's being dictated by this person.
Yeah.
And of course, like, what are you supposed to say? Because then he would be like, well, she gets really freaked out about it, and she doesn't want to bring it home to her family. Her dad has cancer. I'm like, her dad lives in Tennessee. Like, they will not be seeing each other for a long time.
Right.
Yeah, like that. And
that's crazy.
I saw right through her bullshit because I was the only woman in that house. So she hated me.
Sure.
She despised me. But that's also
You're
because
a threat.
I was a threat.
Yeah.
I take it as a compliment now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, we were really good friends, and I, and then, like, she shows up, and, like, you know, I was like, whatever, you know, they're dating, that's great, I respect that. But she just genuinely made it, like, a point to be like, he's mine now, and, like,
Right.
separate him from me, which is, like, we had our own thing. It was never romantic, it was never anything, like, we were just really good friends. And then, like, she was so threatened by that connection that we have that she didn't want me around. Which I guess, like, now there's parts of me that are like, okay, I get it, right? If, like, a guy has, like, a girlfriend and then, like, you're dating that person, you're like, what is this relationship?
Sure.
Right? Then I'd be like, okay, I understand a little bit. But, like, she was not nice. She genuinely was actually kind of a psycho.
Well, I mean, honestly, the way to go about it, if you are in a healthy relationship, the only way to go about it is to ask what's going on in that, you know, in that dynamic, and then to be satisfied with the answer. Because you should be under the assumption that your significant other is telling you the truth, and no other assumption.
100%. And
Yeah.
I was definitely, like, willing to have that conversation with her, be like, I'm not going to impede on this.
Right.
Yeah, like, that's your relationship. But she was genuinely, like, also evil. So, like, she was, like, again, she, like, he was, like, sort of, I would say, sort of reasonable at the beginning, and by the end of it, he was, like, 100%. Whatever she says, it goes.
He had
Like,
been indoctrinated.
Literally, he had been brainwashed.
Yeah.
And I remembered, like, I introduced him to a friend of mine, and we went for a drink, and he tried to bring her, which I was like, leave her at home. This is not a double date, right? Yeah, you're meeting a friend of mine. And later, when we had our big falling out, I told that friend, and she's like, I was shocked that he was 23. He acted like he was 16. And I was like, oh shit. Yeah, because, like, he just became, like, less mature. He just, like, really got worn down. I mean, literally, like, as, like, the relationship went on, he started to, like, physically hunch over more. And I was like, okay, that's a bad sign.
It's like a subconscious, you know, like teenagers. The last girl I dated, the one that I brought here, she said when she was a teenager, she was very insecure. So her posture was like this. So that totally makes sense why he became like that.
It was really, really sad to see. But then at the same time, like, he was becoming, like, a nastier person, and he would make jabs at me the same way that she would at me. So I was like, oh, you're literally turning into her.
Yeah.
And then instead of, like, you know, making it a big deal, I kind of was just like, I'm gonna, like, then everything opened up. I got, like, a million jobs because I was so tired of being in the house. So I literally worked at Zeke's. I worked at the publicity center at school. I did an internship. I had school. I was making, like, a ton of friends. And that, like, pissed him off because he had cut a lot of people off. And then, like, I'm running around and I'm, like, being with all these friends. And
Clearly he was very envious.
He was extremely envious.
Yeah.
And the thing that totally got it was that we went to one of Ryan's parties.
Oh,
and
yeah.
He literally, like, went to his house for 5 days, and because that's the incubation period of COVID if we got COVID. Yeah.
Man, poor guy.
Well, this is what happened, right? Like, I straight up was just like, oh my God, I had COVID, right? I had it over the Christmas break. He got so mad that I didn't tell him that I had it when we weren't in the same room as each other.
Right.
Even though, like, literally I was in Idaho or wherever and I got it and it sucked and I had it for, like, a few days. And then, but it became
locker.
Oh no, he unhooked it.
God damn it. Hey Siri, 19-minute timer, por favor.
19 minutes starting now.
Word.
Does she understand Spanish?
Maybe.
Yeah, she probably does. I mean, she's a robot.
Yeah, she's always listening too, which freaks me out.
Yeah. Well, she can. All she's gonna hear is me whining. So
Right.
that's all you're gonna get from me.
Yeah, and then you're gonna get therapist ads.
Yeah, and why do you think I'm in therapy?
Yeah, that's I don't know. I was always when I was younger, I was always told that I could be a good therapist, but like you know, my brain was so. I do believe that like my brain developed at like a much slower rate. Like the sentiment I have is when I was 18, I was mentally 13.
Really?
Yeah, cause like women like or I guess girls liked me, but then they would like get to know me and they're like, "Jeez," like, and I'd be like, "Do you want to have sex?" And they're like, "Not really."
Oh my god.
You know, it was tough. But like, yeah, over the last like year, I started to think about like career aspirations, and I just totally realized that that's my passion. So
That's good.
just started school again a couple
Yeah.
days ago.
Yeah, how's
and,
that going so far?
Oh, it's just so fascinating. And, you know, it's like one thing that I know I'm going to face, but I'm glad I'm not facing now is burnout from school. And, you know, taking so many years off, taking 5 years off, that just totally benefited me.
Yeah.
And I just think I might be one of those people who wasn't that good at school, but is good at their career.
School sucks.
Yeah.
And I genuinely was good at I wasn't even that good at school, but like I actually like learning now as an
Right.
adult, and you're just kind of forced to do it growing up, and
Yeah.
it's really bad for, frankly, imagination or like creative problem solving. Like
Yeah.
I actually didn't realize until I got to college that I was actually good at math.
Right.
Yeah, it took me until
Oh,
literally
okay.
going into a different math class and unlearning like all of the shit that they taught us at Seattle Public Schools, which is famously bad for math. They like and I was like, wait, I'm actually good at this. And then I did chemistry, and the only reason I was even passing chemistry is because it's mostly math anyway. And I was like, wait, this is so easy. How
Right.
did like I fuck up at this for like 12 years of my life? Yeah, and turns out school. Not to blame school for everybody's problems. There are some people that are genuinely, you know, like not good. Is that the door? Oh, yeah, this is the door. God damn it.
No probs, no probs. Yeah, I was learning, or one of my friends, Thomas, former guest on the Verbal Journal, he said that basically the school system, which hasn't changed all that much, it was originally made for people to be good factory workers.
That's why
and
the bells, yeah.
to just kind of fall in line.
It's genuinely like, I think that system that we use now, because there was like, back, you know, like when higher education existed, it was purely like for the rich, right? It was purely for like nobles and wealthy people, and like most of the time those people had tutors anyway,
Right.
They just had people that would come to your house and teach you French. Whereas for all of the younger, like poorer children, where their whole like idea was that they were going to be working in factories, literally like that whole system was created so that kids would get used to like just busy work or just like sitting in one spot for like 50 minutes and then get conditioned for the bell to go to lunch. That's what the bell is.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
Lockers,
god.
I mean, like, if you think about it, it is basically just like a factory setting. You have lockers, you go from place to place, like very much in like an orderly line. The bell rings, you go to your next place. The bell
Yeah.
rings, you go to lunch. You come back from lunch, you get back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, if you think a certain way and then the school system kind of conditions you in the opposite way, it kind of crushes your creativity. It
does.
That's how I felt. There was nothing in school that I was intrigued by other than I liked French class, but it was just not fascinating at all. I couldn't wait to go home and like edit YouTube videos and to like express myself physically. Which was like the only thing I was into at the time.
Yeah, we definitely, I think we're at a point now because people are like, well, this is how we've done it for like years and years. I'm like, yeah, well, guess what? AI is a thing now.
Right.
Like, that's probably going to eliminate a lot of jobs. So
Yeah.
I think we need to like figure out something like kind of radical for the school system, because it is also like an industry. So I
Yeah.
feel like, yeah, the industry kind of has to either adapt, change, or go. Because there is something to be said about having structure as a kid, but I don't think what we're doing now is applicable anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, from an outsider, I was an outsider to school, higher education for so long, for the last 5 years. And from the outside looking in, going to college, it creates so much discipline, and the muscle of doing something you don't want to do and having the discipline to do it anyway. It's so usable, and it's so admirable as well. I think that's something I noticed in you, as well as like my cousins who were like almost graduated from college.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's all for nothing, but there's got to be reform, which there won't be. And now there's the list of things that is eliminating individualism is longer than it's ever been.
This is true.
And I think, social media obviously is one of those things. And, when you like things or when you interact with things a lot, all of a sudden that's what they're feeding you. So and if you don't have much of a social life, your worldview is based off what you see on social media. And then you're a really closed-minded person. Mm-hmm. And it's a scary thing.
Yeah.
It's really, really scary.
No, it's bad.
And the ability to think with nuance is really... it's diminished a lot, to the point where like the percentage of people that I view as insufferable is growing a lot, and it's really tough. I was at the dog park with my sister the other day, and there's just like there's like a couple people there, and they seemed so angry and so like at odds with themselves and the world, and not to immediately bring up a hot topic, but like, some woman said something regarding Charlie Kirk, and then she's like, oh, too soon, and the guy was like, no, he was a terrible person, he deserved to die. And I was like, I just met him, and I was like, internally, I was like, all right,
okay, nice to meet you.
Yeah, I don't like you anymore.
That's so weird.
And and it's tough to like exist in this world, especially considering like the things I want to accomplish, which one of them is bringing children into this world. And there's a lot of people who hold the opinion of you shouldn't bring children into this world.
I have an issue with that, because really it does come down to like that is a driving force in humans.
Yeah.
Literally biologically, not even in humans, it's biologically like intrinsic to like life. Like
Right.
any creature on this earth, like they literally have this drive to like pass their genetics on to the next generation. And recently, like, we've had tough times before. Humanity has overcome like a lot of really crazy shit. Mm-hmm. So to be told like you shouldn't be having kids in this day and age, it's like, why? Right? Like,
Yeah.
what about the next like 10, 15 years is going to be so miserable to have children? If anything, it was probably really fucking hard to have kids in medieval times.
Yeah.
And like that's why people literally had families of like 8 or 9 children. Half of them died of disease, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Or they're like peasants. They have nothing to live for. They're having kids.
Yeah,
like,
or in the age of the Dust Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, people were fucking back then.
No, dude, yeah, my grandparents, I mean, like, they were 19, they had their first kid, my aunt, and, like, they had zero money. This was, like, during, some pretty crazy political stuff, too, where they were also probably saying, like, oh, we're gonna be, like, there's gonna be nuclear war in, like, the near future, and they were just, like, they just had a child. Like, it wasn't even a question, and they're doing great, right? Like, it really is just, like... The thing is, I think having a child, well, first of all, fundamentally changes you as a human being.
Oh, absolutely.
Your psychology completely shifts because you're like responsible for another human being. And that human being is so impressionable and so like vulnerable to the world that you have to become like this protector, caretaker, feeder, teacher, whatever. And you can usually, like when you talk to adults, you can tell whether or not they've had kids.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they like, refer to themselves or like treat other people or anything like that. So it genuinely is better for people as human beings to have children.
Right.
Is he peeing on my bike? Oh, no, we're good. It's better for people to have kids. You don't have to have a lot of kids anymore.
No.
You did back then. But
why was that? Because so many
because
of them
they
passed?
would die.
Yeah.
They would die of like multiple diseases. They would get in accidents. Like, there was like, that's like literally why the parenting techniques were so harsh back then, because you were like, this kid might not survive. So don't get it too attached.
Oh man, that's a really good point.
Yeah, that's why like it was really common to like beat your kids and to like you had to like keep them like they had to call you sir and ma'am, like they had to be like really rigid, really like staunch.
Yeah.
They couldn't like children should be seen, not heard. Like that was what that was. Yeah. But
Oh
now
my God.
we're in this sort of like age where we like vaccinate our children. We, you know, send them to school. We like make sure that they have fun social activities. Like on the weekends, we put them in soccer. Yeah, we like, and then we take them to go do things. And there's a lot of people that just like don't really know how to do it. Obviously, like there's always been people like that. People complain a lot. They're like, parents are so bad. I'm like, we're just seeing that now because social media is so big. There have always been really terrible parents, but now there is sort of an echo chamber of like the terrible parents to sort of like feel justified in their shitty behavior.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's why like you get these people freaking out on like a super large scale when they see some weird mom like doing something in their house, and it's like, unfortunately, this has been around for a long time.
Right.
You're just seeing this
now we have video. Now we have cell phone cameras.
My
you
grandma,
know?
speaking of my grandma, like again with the kids thing, like she had 5 kids and then she like fostered children that were like had terrible parents, like literally were pulled out of houses because their parents were doing drugs.
That's so admirable.
I know.
Oh, I love that.
And she genuinely, like, my mom would, she's like, yeah, it didn't matter. Like, she would take care of 5 kids. She worked on the school board, and she had foster children. And she was, like, the stability that those kids needed, too. Because she was not, like, this super, I mean, she was nurturing, but it was definitely, like, a very stern nurturing. Like, because they were, you know, they got into some bad stuff. Like, one of the kids brought home, like, a bunch of pornography. This is back in the 80s, so it was completely, like, ununacceptable for children
like
to do.
cassette tapes?
It was, like, magazines.
Oh.
Yeah, so
Very naughty.
No, very naughty. So he brings that over, and of course, like, my grandma finds them under his mattress, and she's like, absolutely unacceptable. And she's like, I'm not gonna let this child like show this to my kids. Yeah. So he walks in, and she's throwing them in the fire right in front of him and stoking it, being like, "Hey, Brandon," as he walks inside the house.
Oh my god! And he's like,
"What the fuck?" That kid also like stole a bunch of their vodka. Like they could see like the bottle of vodka going down. It's kind of psychotic, but she literally filled it with ipecac. So that next
what is ipecac?
Ipecac is a drug that makes you throw up everywhere.
Oh no! And is it clear as well?
Yep, it looks exact, and it tastes like, I mean, it tastes pretty like vodka, but definitely like, wait a minute, that's not right. And then you're just like projectile vomiting.
Ooh.
Yeah. So she was like she was very good at like, she was really good at like totally cutting off, be like, that is not acceptable in this home.
Yeah.
And not every kid, like responded to it well. Like there were some kids that still ended up like in jail afterwards. There's only so much you could do.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of people that were like, I like felt like these guys were my family. Yeah, like they loved my grandparents. They were like, they gave me like so much stability. They helped me like feel like I could do things on my own. Like they helped me like through all these things. So it's like really admirable.
Sure.
And she's legally blind. Like she can't drive.
Oh,
yeah.
Since when?
Since like birth.
No way.
Yeah, she literally can't read unless she has like this little magnifying glass thing, and she literally like runs it over these books. But she is an adamant reader. She's like a historian. She loves history.
That's so badass.
She was going to school for that, but then she got pregnant, right? But she ended up just like raising their kids while my grandpa went to law school, and now they're doing amazingly. Yeah.
It would be so easy to give in to any sort of disability. It's so easy to give into it and be like, well, I can't do this. But her going to school and studying, she studied history?
She went later, yeah. When
Okay.
she'd had like 4 kids at this point, but like at that point too, that was also the age where you're like, go, leave. I need to like do something for a couple hours. I don't want to see you for a couple hours, right? And so they did, like my mom and her siblings, like they figured out how to use the bus really quickly, because like she would bring them on the bus all the time,
right?
And they would just walk everywhere, because it was Tacoma, actually. That's where she grew up.
Oh, interesting.
And, yeah, so she like would run around, and like, she knew all the neighborhood kids, like they all knew each other. They like, so people like knew who to go to if there was an issue. They would just go to the store, and usually like the store owners would be like, oh yeah, that's like Debbie's kids. Yeah. So it was definitely like, I think this
different time.
The community was a little more insulated and a little more protective than communities are now, which probably helps with like children reaching independence faster. But there was also like a rising crime rate around that time. So then parents became more protective in the last like 30, 40 years.
Okay.
And then sort of like kept their kids from being able to do that because like of all the stuff of like crime on TV, which did happen. But it definitely sort of created this like paranoia in society that like kind of, hey Peter. Yeah, can you walk by that?
Yeah, no, I would agree. It's definitely it's a whole there's so many factors that contribute to what I think is so wrong with like what's going on in today's society. And it's kind of, as you were bringing up, like the whole idea of like an isolated society with, where everybody knows one another. Like the rising crime rate, and the isolation that comes with so much stimulation, like social media, like just objectively, it makes you feel so safe and like nurtured almost when you're looking through that, and you're like, you just feel so satisfied in so many different ways. And that's like the one thing that I wish existed in this in today's society, you know. And it kind of does where I live in Liberty Lake, and that was the biggest thing. That was I kind of got culture shocked yesterday when I went when I was walking around with Baron in Tacoma. It was like everybody's like pretty standoffish, and yeah,
it's common to this. To be fair, Seattle Freeze is totally real, and it does actually.
You would say so?
Oh God, yeah. I grew up here. Like people, I definitely like, and I didn't realize it until like, especially like you go to the Midwest or New York or something, and people are just like so ready to just like talk to you, and if you're not used to that, you're just sort of like,
what do you want from me?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I think it is more perpetrated by people that move here and want that. Like, they want to not talk to people. They want to be antisocial. So that, you know, was the thing that happened, but I think people literally, like, gravitate towards that because they don't want that. That happened when I worked at Starbucks, and those people were assholes.
Well, the customers?
No, the people I worked with. Yeah, they were genuinely, like, really shitty, mean people.
And they weren't...
And they were like, yeah, I moved from Texas because people are too nice. I don't want to talk to people. And I was like, don't fucking don't fuck up my, like, home, bro.
Oh,
yeah, I want to chat with
interesting.
people. Yeah, I want to, because, like, you go to the Midwest, people are, like, so friendly, so eager to talk to you, like, genuinely feel really, like,
That is
nice.
what I hear.
Yeah, I went to Detroit recently, and, like, the people are actually, like, really cool.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. I went stayed with my friend.
What was that like? I hear it's on the upswing.
You know what? I actually didn't get to go into the city.
Okay.
But because I was sick that day. But in Michigan, just in general, first of all, it's like super spread out, right? Super, like, it definitely was a society designed by car, right? Because like all the automotive
Interesting.
industry is out there,
Okay.
so like you have to drive literally everywhere to get anywhere, and it takes you 20 minutes to get to like a corner store from like at your little cul-de-sac like neighborhood that you live in. But it was like people were genuinely, well, first of all, our parents are like the kindest people ever. Yeah, they're super nice. And then we would like meet people from like around, and they're just like a lot more friendly and open. So like the stereotype of the Midwest is definitely very true. People are just like super chill, super like, we'll just chat with you, like you feel pretty safe with those people. Whereas here, yeah, I guess I'm just used to just like clocking out and not really like talking to people and kind of being in my own head. But there is a benefit to like feeling like you can kind of trust the person that you're standing next to and be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. New York is a whole different story because people are yelling at each other all the time, and they're usually pretty angry.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, being stacked on top of one another, it's so like it creates anxiety.
It does.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I could understand that why people in the Midwest, because they got their own space, so they have enough them time, and not only that, like I guess if you have like a 30 by 30 or a 10 by 10 apartment in New York, I guess you do have your
Yeah.
I guess
my
you do
room
have,
is pretty small, so
Yeah.
and that's like the only like personal space that I have in this house of 9 people that I live with, by the way. Yeah, I live with a lot of people. And so it's nice to like have a little bubble that's just like, this is my spot.
Right.
But also having a place like this in Seattle is so important because people are so antisocial, and it's like very famously antisocial and hard to like break into social circles here. By having that by default, you actually sort of create a bubble for people to kind of come in and you can like interact. So like we had a big dinner party here yesterday.
Oh, cool.
With one of my roommates, like
Okay.
brought a bunch of his like work friends over, and we had a few other roommates join in, and like I genuinely didn't know much about these people, like the new roommate that moved in, until like last night, and then we're actually like, I'm like, this guy's cool, right?
Okay.
It's a really good way to meet people. It's a really good way to also like just kind of have people like cycling in and out a lot too. So unfortunately people do leave, you know.
That's so fascinating that, you know, people that are from other areas of the United States, they'll be like, I don't like people. Who else doesn't like
Yeah,
people? Seattle.
What city is famous for not liking people? And I'm like, well, first of all, like that's a subset. That was like a weird thing, and it did actually exist because there's a big Japanese population that like came here in like the 30s, 40s, you know, like kind of around like World War II era, and then there's the Swedish Scandinavian population that lives here. And they did not like each other, so they did not talk to each other at all. And that's where the freeze came from, because they had so much beef with each other. And it's very common in Japanese society to like shun people that you do not like want anything. Like there's no like overt rudeness. Like you're not gonna say fuck you in Japan to like someone you don't like. You're just gonna like shut down, and you're just gonna pretend like they don't exist. Yeah, where I don't know what the cultural thing in like Scandinavia is, but like definitely I'm assuming that they sort of butted heads that way. And that sort of
Right.
created like the term Seattle Freeze, because that was like a big cultural thing that was going on. And then of course tech came here, and that just, you know, the rest is history.
Right.
A city full of like tech people that have zero social skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a stereotype. I had a friend in Bellingham. He's a perfectly nice guy. Shout out Alex Jones, I think. His name is Alex Jones.
His name is Alex Jones.
Asian guy. And he was a nice guy. He was studying computer science, but my God, did he have no social skills. Like, talking to him, it was actually painful.
Yeah.
You know, but it was but that does seem to be the type of person that goes into CS or IT or anything like that.
Yeah, well, my theory about that is that brain plasticity is like so limited to certain areas. So like, you know, if you're really good at something, you're going to be deficient in another part of your brain.
Sure.
And obviously the people that are like super cerebral and like know a lot about numbers, coding, all that stuff, like they took all of that from the social part of their brain.
Right.
And also like sitting in a room and doing that all the time, like you're not going to be exercising that muscle. Because also like I would say the same thing, like being an artist and going to art school, you see a lot of the like artistic type people. Usually the people that were really good at drawing were weird as fuck and really hard to talk to. Which is like, okay, fair, you know, like you have to have a certain perspective on life to be able to like, you know, draw something really good. And usually that means you're gonna be weird to talk to because you think of things in such a weird way.
And I have this written down to ask you. What do you think the correlation is between people in your field, graphic design, and both antisocial behaviors and then also mental illness?
Oh, extremely high.
Okay.
Extremely high. You've heard my story with my coworkers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they are insane.
The one with the crazy eyes.
Yeah, she quit, dude.
She did.
Yeah, she quit last week. She's gone, bro.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, she's gone. Like literally, the place that I work at, and this is like obviously office politics exist anywhere you are.
Right.
You get a lot of older people that like don't have ambitions outside of the job they're in, or maybe their lives are a little bit like stagnant, and they bring all of that like, you know, argumentative nature and like really just toxic behavior into the workplace, and I'm like, I don't appreciate it. If you add a creative element to it, it goes insane. Like literally the people that I went to school with, the people that I work with, like they are genuinely, you can tell that they are unstable and they're barely holding on. Like
That's so interesting because automatically you would think if someone's in a field where they're constantly expressing themselves, or at least using that part of their mind, you would think that would result in happiness.
well, the happiness that you get from creative expression is very fleeting. And I've actually learned this recently, that the best part of my career is the idea stage. Because then when you actually have to do something, you're miserable. Because
Right.
it never turns out the way that it should in your brain.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually, like, that's something that you have to work on as, like, an actual working creative, is that you literally just have to divorce your ego from what you're doing if you're making it for somebody else. You're like, I don't care if this looks good, as long as they like it, that is what I'm doing.
That's such a good point. For some reason, I didn't think explicitly from that perspective either.
Well, I've had to learn it.
Because you're not... Oh, hello.
Where's that?
Wait, I think I smelled weed.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I smell it too.
Nice. Dude, it's objectively, I think it still smells great.
I mean, I like the smell of weed. I like the
Yeah.
way weed tastes. Yeah, like when you smoke it, I actually kind of like the way that it felt in your mouth. I was like,
Yeah.
this, but then I tried a cigarette and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
it was
it's
so
not
bad.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just going back, actually, really quickly, going back to what you were saying about romanticizing Bellingham. When I think of like weed, dude, the thing that immediately comes to mind is like, oh, it felt so good when I would smoke. But like the thing that doesn't come to mind is the crazy brain fog, the uncontrollable munchies, the antisocial behavior that came as a result of my weed usage. You know, it's so funny how we romanticize things as human beings.
We do.
We don't really think about, you know, like we right now we romanticize, you know, the 70s and the 80s. But what we do have now that we didn't have back then is advanced medicine. Yeah. You know, my dad was talking about, he has carpal tunnel and he's had 2 knee replacements.
Oh.
And he was like, if I was living like I am right now in the 70s, I'd be like this and I'd be in a wheelchair.
That sucks.
And he's like, I would have killed myself 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was kind of gruesome to hear that, but I was like, fair enough, dude.
And I'm guilty of that too, because I told you I romanticize the hell out of the 70s. The aesthetic is like my favorite thing in the world.
What you're wearing right now.
Right? And like the way my hair looks, like it is genuinely like my favorite period aesthetically.
Yeah.
That was a terrible time in history. People were getting shot. Like there was so much political strife. There was
Yeah.
like tons of like riots. Crime was like running amok. It was a terrible time to be around.
Yeah.
My grandma and grandpa, like I said, they were raising kids during that, and they were like the 70s were genuinely awful. Like I was scared every day for like my children's future. And
Interesting.
then like you roll into the 80s, which you have your own opinions about the 80s. There was a lot of bad things going on there too, but that was like a considerably stable period for families. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
people that were more conservative, right? That like things finally settled down, right? Things are finally like easy to approach, which of course, like from the perspective of someone raising kids, because that's all you care about is that your children are going to have a good future.
Right.
But like you definitely like just look at the aesthetic, which genuinely aesthetic literally just comes from like, oh, what did we do 10 years ago? How can we like evolve that? And then like literally build on the backs of giants, as they say. But
Okay.
then the aesthetic, the actual focusing on it, is that you look at that visual style and you're like, that's really cool, and you continue to build on it. Yeah, so like what is considered now, I suppose, like 70s aesthetic is actually like a really hyper realized version of the 70s. Like people,
Sure.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like they
Yeah,
take
yeah.
the styles and they like really push the boundaries. Like they really make it look as like on par with like their, I guess, vision of what that should be in life. And that's why like vaporwave, like that vaporwave aesthetic, which is based on like 80s VHS like
Oh, yeah.
surrealism.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where that came from too, when in reality
Okay.
the 80s was just as gritty and like honestly kind of shitty as like the 70s like and now.
How much do you think the romanticization of those time periods, how much do you think that is to do with the art that was made then? Because that's kind of what we look at.
It is
You
the
know?
art. Yeah, I would say it's the art. It's like kind of pushed by people that have nostalgia for a time where they weren't like, they weren't pathetic. So unfortunately, that's part of it.
Yeah.
Is there are people that are addicted to nostalgia because they're like, oh man, back in the day, I was like the coolest football player. Yeah, or I was so hot and like I had all this shit. And then
Yeah.
like, you grow and like things change and you can't really like, I guess, adjust to like something new because you sort of like hit a groove at that point because everything was pretty much set up for your personality type. It was sort of by circumstance. And then like you're sort of stuck mentally in that period where it's like, oh, things were so great when I was this age. And that's where that comes from, right? It comes from like people that are just like, and then they romanticize it and then they like rewatch all the movies over and over again.
Yeah.
I'm calling out my uncle, by the way. They like say like, oh, movies suck now, dude. They're not
Right.
like this. But if you genuinely, and I still like a lot of those movies, but if you rewatch those movies, having never seen that stuff before, you're like, this isn't that good.
Right.
Yeah, nostalgia is kind of poisonous.
It is. It definitely is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's because you're genuinely you're missing a time in your life where things were simple.
Right.
And that was what you were watching when things were simple. Or that's the kind of art that was around when things were simple. That was the type of music that was really popular when things were simple. This is what people were wearing when things were simple. Now you have to pay bills. Now fucking everything sucks. You have to pay attention to what's going on in the news all
Yeah.
the time. Seems like everyone like hates each other. Like genuinely that, and so like that's why people. Are we being too loud?
What?
Are we being too loud?
No, you're good.
Okay, sweet.
Am I being too loud?
No, you're
No,
fine.
you're totally
yeah,
good, man.
Sorry
Yeah.
to intrude on a peaceful
There was
Saturday.
a fly in here.
Oh no!
Oh.
Him out.
Okay.
How kind of you. I would not have been so charitable. Anyway,
No,
yeah.
Yeah, it dedefinitely. Yeah, we're in a time now where everybody seems to hate one another,
Mm-hmm.
and the thing that really makes me the most sad is that there's probably a lot of common ground to be found.
Well, if you go outside, they don't hate each other. People
Right.
don't really hate each other. It's actually like a lot of really great people out there. It's just that online sort of like creates these echo chambers, and then those people go against each other. But if you actually like were in a room with people that probably had different opinions as you can have like a really normal conversation with them.
Yeah.
And be like, well, I disagree with that, but I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and you from both like mainstream media and social media, you form these sort of ideas and stereotypes in your mind, and then when you see somebody in public that perpetuates that stereotype, you sort of automatically hate them. I had a experience like that at work. This guy came in with a pistol on his hip,
Oh,
and it's like I was formed as an adult in Bellingham. Mm-hmm. Like
very anti-gun area. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
and then this guy ended up being the nicest guy.
Yep.
I was like still training, and they were like, and then the person who was training me like, did you seat them? And he was like, yeah, he was just telling me about seating people, and I was like, this guy's cool.
Yeah.
And it kind of undid a sort of stereotype in my mind, and I was so grateful for that experience because, I don't like what's happening right now, and recent events have really kind of brought to light what's happening in the separation of people.
Yeah.
And you know, and we already talked about this on the phone, but I kind of decided that I do want to talk about it on the podcast, and you don't have to.
Okay.
If you don't want,
you can go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, and it's, you know, with the shooting of Charlie Kirk, and my entire life, my knee-jerk reaction to politics is like, I don't care. You know, I just don't care. And so, as an adolescent and a person in their early 20s, I was like, I'm not reading about that. I just don't care about it. But now I'm 26, so still my knee-jerk reaction is I don't care, but I should probably read about this because there's a lot. I don't think I'm an unintelligent person, but there's a lot of common knowledge that I do not have. Like, my knowledge base on world geography is pitiful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Before last week, I didn't really know which countries border Brazil.
Oh, you don't?
And now I know a couple: Colombia, Bolivia, Paraguay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and but yeah, and I think one of the biggest benefits to me being apolitical is that I just kind of see like the humanity in every single situation, and then I have to force myself to see the political aspect of a certain situation. So when Trump almost got killed, I was like, man, it's kind of bad, you know. For the record, I think he's an obnoxious narcissist. I think he's super annoying, not to mention, and it doesn't help that he's like really ugly too.
He really is.
Because when someone's like annoying and obnoxious, but they're just hot, it's like, you're kind of curious. You're just like, well, what's going on there? But he's hideous, you know? So it's, you know, McDonald's and Coca-Cola, you know, that'll bloat you. Like,
yes, it will.
Yeah. But I don't know, when I heard that Charlie Kirk had been murdered, my roommate told me, and I was really sad because he's around my age, he's around our age, super close to my sister's age, and he was a father and a husband. And again, I just saw the humanity in it, and I was really sad for him, for his family, and then I became really sad for the state of our country right now. And then I became devastated when I went to work and people were celebrating it. And then I come over to the west side of Washington, where people are like, fuck yeah, dude, fuck him, you know, and I just think it's really sad, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's like what I was saying too is like, yeah, you don't have to disagree with the guy, or you don't have to agree with the guy. You really don't. Like, he said some weird things, but like at the same time, like, this is a bad step in the direction of like how we should be treating people that we disagree with. Right.
There's so much I didn't agree. He's anti-gay marriage, and my perspective on it is like, dude, I want everyone to be so happy. It's like we have such a short amount of time on this earth. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, go marry who you want. Go have sex with whoever you want to have sex with, dude. Yeah. You know, I think that's amazing. I think that's what like this country should be built on. You know, last year I went to Turkey and Armenia, and it absolutely is not built on that. Nope. Somebody got arrested for being allegedly homosexual in Turkey during the time I was there.
What the fuck? That's so weird.
Yeah,
that
allegedly.
Is so unheard of.
Dude, there's, in terms of being allegedly homosexual, there are some very incriminating photos of me, you know, in some group chats, you know?
You taking dick pics and sharing them with the boys?
No, there's pictures of me kissing my coworkers, you know? Granted, you can see the discomfort. It's more like
you're
this.
Like,
you know?
Or like that video that I tried to get you and Diego to kiss at Halloween too.
Right.
Yeah.
Was this past one?
There was this past one. I have it.
I wasn't quite intoxicated enough to do
yet.
that.
You're like, maybe a couple shots later and we'll see where this takes us.
Yeah, no, but it's so refreshing to be friends with people like you, and to be family members of the people that I am, you know, because I chatted with them about this, you know, about this situation, and they kind of had the same perspective as me, which is the humanitarian perspective, which is like, it's super sad someone lost their life, you know? Yeah. And I don't know when we got in this idea that we have to agree with everyone, you know?
Yeah. I don't like... I there's something that's actually like really funny that I was thinking about like a while ago, which is like a lot of times too when people are really afraid of like pissing people off because they want to be liked.
Right.
And I had to really come to the terms with the fact where you have to do, like, you know, you should stop wanting everyone to like you because you don't even like everyone.
No,
There's
that's such a good point.
Yeah,
I love that perspective.
If you don't like people, why would you want to be liked by literally every single person that you talk to?
Right.
Yeah. If anything, by having people dislike you, it's like, see ya.
Yeah.
I like, bye-bye. Like, it's just like, you know, it's tough.
And there's that perspective where our circles should really only be like this big, but we make them this big.
Yeah.
So if anything, people not liking you, it kind of helps you in that area. But because we're on social media and some people have 1,000 followers or something, now we're kind of trained. We're kind of trained to seek validation, and we're kind of trained to this idea that we should have a huge circle when that really goes against our biology and evolution in general.
Yeah, the only reason that we even really have like this desperate need for community is because like you would die. Tigers would come kill you if you're by yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Like,
no, absolutely.
Yeah, like that's literally like that's why the Neanderthals didn't win like the fight for humanity because you know there was a bunch of different like Homo Neanderthalis, Homo habilis, Homo sapiens. They all like, if anything, the Neanderthals were actually probably the more dominant species because they were bigger, stronger, smarter, and faster, but they were not community driven. They actually like they sort of like fought their way into obscurity and out of existence because they would not have communities, they would not keep each other close, and they would not protect their own. They would just come in, they'd have sex with some of the women, like a Homo sapiens, and then they'd take off. And then, like, so that's why, like, that gene is sort of still, like, weaved in our, like, the collective gene pool of humanity.
The isolationist sort of mentality?
It's basically, well, the gene of, like, Neanderthals is still, like, found in a lot of humans nowadays. So, like, if you look at a person and they tell you, yeah, I actually was, like, partially, like, I found I have Neanderthal DNA, you're like, yeah, I know. I can tell. You can tell. There's a look that they have. So
interesting.
Yeah, but they did not survive. Like, they did not, like, become the dominant human species because they did not group together.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the current theory, at least. It's like the current day theory.
Interesting.
So yeah, they were kind of off doing their own thing, like walking around Europe, getting like trapped in like giant ice storms and like freezing to death, or they would like go and like, you know, fight for resources, but then they actually like sort of wormed their way out of the gene pool because they didn't have the sense of community that sapiens did.
Okay.
And because that protected us so much, you know, that's so like hardened into our brains that we need that. And so we carry that, but then like as our society gets more and more and more advanced, like all of like the buildings around us and like everything starts to become more like insulated and protected, we still are monkey people at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Like we still have like really limited brain space to like do things. So we still revert back to those old archaic forms of like, we need to protect ourselves, we need to have communities, we need to like stay within ourselves. And it translates into like, we don't like those people. I disagree with you, you're a bad person.
Yeah.
You look different than me, you're a bad person. You know, you are not like you're not the values I hold, you're a bad person, I hate you. Yeah, because that was how you protected yourself.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, that's like how you kept from getting eaten by a tiger back in the day. But it was like, we don't have tigers anymore, we just have service jobs
and BMWs.
And to be fair, a lot of people are really annoying, and I definitely like, there are definitely people who I'm like, I don't have to associate with you anymore, and that's
thank God.
And thank God. But at the same time, it's like, oh, the only reason this exists is because like we were trying not to get like,
staying with that topic of like evolution, there was you know how like those memories of, you know, certain things you did as a teen, you're laying in bed and you remember it and you're like, oh
yes,
fuck, why did I do that? There was this thing I said on our episode of the podcast, which you guys are never gonna know the podcast I did in Bellingham. You're not allowed to look at it, but we're talking about evolution, and I'm talking about how with phones, you know, our thumbs are being used a lot, and I'm like, so probably in like 100 years, like our thumbs are gonna be like way differently shaped.
They're gonna be bigger probably.
But then you're like, well, maybe not in 100 years.
Not in 100,
That's like one generation, and that's just like, oh, God.
That's right, I forgot that you said that. I was like, it takes like 3 million years for evolution to even like take any kind of effect on any kind of like creature. And I was like, he's like, we're still working on our pinky toes. Like, I don't think our thumbs are going anywhere.
But you're so kind about it, and I was just like so stonerish about it. I'm like, you know, it's like, It's tough.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's so, you know what, that's fine though, because I was like, I did biology in school. Like I was studying at the time, like while we were
Okay.
talking about that. So I was like, okay, I know like the timelines.
Okay.
But the thing that you were saying actually, and that is something that I was kind of saying, like the same philosophy,
Yeah.
is that our society has not, or moves faster than humanity can evolve. Humanity cannot evolve at the same rate that like our society is evolving.
In terms of trends?
In terms of brain matter, in
Okay.
terms of like bodies, in terms of like physicality. So if anything, we're actually like too archaic for the world that we live in.
Sure.
Yeah, we still
Yeah.
have this idea that saved us back on like the plains of Africa or in like, you know, the forests of the, you know, Amazon rainforest. But we live in a world that literally like accepts and praises being like totally docile, you know, like not exercising, eating garbage all the time. We have like terrible bodies for that. And so that's why
Yeah.
shit gets so complicated all the time, is because like our bodies are literally meant for us to survive, and we don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think the pace, I tend to think this way, I mean, perhaps the pace of technological development, you know, a few decades ago, maybe it was moving at a pace that we could almost like adjust with.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's why people weren't so weird back then.
I don't think people can adjust, period. Like, I think that I don't think humanity is ready for utopia. I don't think it ever will be.
Right.
Because it's just like, when we make things easier for ourselves, it actually takes a toll on our bodies, including our brains.
We need resistance.
Yeah, you do.
Dude, we used to have predators chasing after us. We had to hit them in the eye socket with a spear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we absolutely, and that's what I can't stand is when people constantly resist resistance. They just don't, or anything difficult. It's like, that makes you a better person.
It does.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
You know?
No, that's exactly, like, there's sort of like an issue of complacency nowadays where people are just like, I'm just gonna do what feels good.
Right.
The thing that bugs me so much, hedonism, the
Yeah.
pursuit of feeling good all
Yes,
the time.
we're learning about that in
Fuck
psychology
you.
right now.
Yeah, I hate hedonism. It's such a bad idea. You might read a book about it. Oh my god, I forgot something so funny happened last night.
What?
Have you read The Picture of Dorian Gray? Do you know what it's about? It's about this guy. It was written by Oscar Wilde, and it was about this guy that literally is like super hot, attractive, like everybody loves him, and he is like, oh man, I'm not gonna stay this attractive forever. So he like gets this painting of himself, and it takes on all of the bad energy of his life. So he doesn't age, he stays really beautiful, but like the more bad stuff he does, and the older he gets, the more disgusting the painting looks. And yeah, it's genuinely
As his perspective changes?
his perspective doesn't even change. He becomes like a shitty human being.
Huh.
Yeah, so like he genuinely like is doing whatever it takes to not face consequences, and the painting is helping him. And then by the end, he realizes that he like totally fucked up his whole life by only pursuing pleasure and never like enduring things that make you a better person. Yeah, because he ends up actually like, well, I guess spoilers, killing like a good friend of his that actually like had.
What was the reason?
I don't even remember exactly, but like I think the guy figured out that like he wasn't aging, and he's like, man, you're living like a terrible life, and then he ends up just like smashing him over the back of the head with like a club. Yeah, and that the whole book is like, yeah, things feel really good in like the short term, but in the long term, like having resistance is going to make you a better human being, because he becomes like a resentful, bitter person by the end of it.
Right.
But he looks just as beautiful and as like, you know, is so attractive and so like cool looking it was when he was
cares?
like 18.
You
Yeah.
know?
So, but it like doesn't matter.
Totally.
So yesterday, I think my old roommate, who's also named Patrick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the other guy, Patrick, he came up and he was like, hey, yeah, man. And so I think he started like bringing something up, and I think like it had sparked. He had a bobblehead with his face on it, and I was like, that's how you're gonna stay forever young, man. Is you have this bobblehead with your face. He's like, oh yeah, and I was like, yeah. Have you ever read The Picture of Dorian Gray? And he's like, I don't know. I haven't gotten into the 50 Shades series before. Like, very different story. But and my other neighbor was sitting there, and she's like, wait a minute.
Like, that's not
That's not what that is. Yeah, he's like, I haven't read all 50 of those shades yet.
Oh my
and I was like,
God.
Patrick, that is a completely different story. It is like an old school book. Yeah, Oscar Wilde, that dude was...
I've heard of him. Yeah.
He was, he was like one of the very first like openly gay writers. He had to flee to France because he grew up in Ireland where that shit was like punishable by death because of the Catholics. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Even now, Catholics.
Even now, they don't like
don't
that.
like that.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Yeah.
But so he actually went to France and then he like died really young. And I went to go see his grave actually because he was essentially ousted from his whole family. The only person that really cared about him was his dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so his dad actually paid for like this really nice gravesite of his in France that was like, you know, very like, it was really nice like carved picture of him, and people do actually like kiss him on lips and on a different part of his body.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so that part is worn down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my god, France, get it together. The man's dead. But yeah, he's an interesting dude. And I think he actually did practice that a little bit, like the hedonistic lifestyle, because it was France, right?
Right.
And it was really like acceptable to be openly gay there. And he's just like, fuck it, I'm going to France.
Yeah.
I'm getting a boyfriend.
Interesting,
Yeah.
okay.
But then like, I think he later, as he was like kind of like in like, at the time though, like the end of your life back then was like 30. Right. Yeah. He was like kind of starting to like, he was like,
When was this, by the way?
1800s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, late
Yeah.
1800s, probably early 1900s.
Interesting.
And he ended up just kind of being like, okay, maybe there's actually something in part of the struggle. Like there's beauty in the struggle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've never, the days in my life where I've been the happiest is when it was like super duper hard. When I was framing houses, I was on the edge of like a foundation, and it was like a 50-foot drop.
Oh.
And I had to like balance on it for like 5 straight hours.
Yeah.
And I literally, I thought I might die,
Uh-huh.
you know. And I got home and I was like the happiest I had been in like 2 years. Granted, that was a really hard time for me.
Yeah.
That was like after my breakup, and
Oh,
when I moved
yeah.
back home and had no friends, and realized that the dating scene in Spokane was god awful.
Yeah.
You know, but it was. That's kind of when I realized like there's beauty in patience and hardship.
Yep.
It absolutely is.
My art is always like the best whenever I'm going through something. And usually I don't care. Like that's also because I don't care about it anymore. And then I just do it. And then I look back, I'm like, God damn, that was so good.
Your inhibitions are just
Because I'm just like so
Yeah.
like just pissed off and in pain all the time, and then I like
Right.
make something, or I was just like so like I just threw myself into work and I just like pushed myself so hard, but like you're also like just kind of putting yourself through a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the best art, is like when you're really miserable. Which
Interesting.
is why again the like tragic or like the tortured artist like kind of, you know, stereotype comes from, but that is actually 100% true.
Yeah. And then too many people try to embody that.
They do.
You know, either be it or don't be it, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
I know,
God.
it's a struggle. You have to do it when you hate it, and when you hate the art that you do, and when you do anything and it just doesn't get easier and you're going to hate it and you're just going to
Yeah.
continue hating it, but people are going to find some joy out of it, so good for you.
And you learn so much about yourself.
You do.
Last quarter in school, I had a lot of sleepless nights, you know, 4 or 5 hours, which I do not do.
Yeah.
I am such a baby when it comes to sleep. And then I had to pull a couple 12-hour study sessions because of essays that I had neglected. And I woke up the next morning and I was like, okay, I'm alive.
Yeah.
I can do this. It's
Yep.
not ideal. There's no longevity in that, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
And it just makes you a better person.
it does.
And yeah, and I don't know. When I bring children into this world, I'm gonna try to like, you know, engrave that mentality in them.
I know. It always bugged me when my parents did that as a kid, and now I'm like, okay, they were right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I was really pissed off. I was like, God, you just like have this horrible idea of the world where everyone is like so miserable all the time, and you force yourself to do things all the time.
Yeah.
And then you get like, they just get mad when I didn't do my homework, because I never did my homework.
Really?
I hated homework. And I was like, and then like I look back now and I was like, okay, they were 100% correct.
Totally.
Because I think I genuinely told my dad at one point, because he was like, I want you to be the best version of yourself. And I was like, I don't want to be the best version. I want to be average. And he literally, the dude got me in the car and he drove me to like these really shitty apartments. He's like, that's where you're going to be if you don't have ambition. And I was like, chill out, you boomer. And I'm like, he was right.
Right.
But he also has like, he's a really hard worker. And I think like his
Okay.
dad probably did the same thing. So yeah, it's that old school parenting.
Okay. Yeah, the last girl I was sort of seeing, she said like, you got to bring back public shaming.
Kind
Which
of
like
a little bit.
Which like to a degree, I think
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah,
when,
kind of a
when people are being weird and like, you know, they're spreading ideology, that's just weird.
The thing is, they kind of already do that.
Right.
Yeah, like we actually do that on a more destructive scale.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
very, very destructive.
It's very destructive, but like there's something, I guess, like good about being self-aware and being like, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe this might actually be bad for me. And like, as long as you have that understanding, like, you're fine. But when it comes to like, I guess on the like massive scale of like, you know, like, do you know the Try Guys? That
Try
guy,
Guys.
yeah, he's like one of the BuzzFeed guys. He ended up cheating on his wife.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and they got fired. And like, obviously that's like totally horrible. But like, at the same time, like the vitriol that came from people that like will never have met him in his entire life, I was like, don't you have anything better to do?
Right.
Yeah, usually it's sort of like you hear about this, you're like, oh my god, that's crazy. But like, people were genuinely like tracking him down, like harassing him, harassing his family members, harassing like people part of the production.
Yeah.
And it's like, they didn't, like, people do things for a reason. It's never good, but like, it's also none of your fucking business.
Right.
Yeah, like, you're not supposed to insert yourself into drama that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to do that nowadays.
And cheating is totally effed up, and
It's bad.
I don't, you know, I think it's one of the worst things someone could do. But is it the worst thing? Is it the worst offense?
You're
that
not.
that
You're
a
never
human
gonna.
being
You're
could-
not gonna go to jail for cheating.
Right.
Yeah, you go to jail for a lot of things, but you're never gonna get jailed for cheating on somebody.
You don't have to like him, but just like, you know, be polite.
Yeah, if
My
I hear
goodness.
someone cheated on like a partner, I'm like, okay, I don't really like that guy.
Right.
But at the same time, it's not like we should call the police on you because you cheated on your wife.
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's none of my fucking business.
Right.
Yeah, like, I don't care. And then when people are like, obviously when cheating scandals happen, I kind of jump on the board a little bit. I'm like, really? Oh my god, I can't believe you did that, right? But then like, I'm like over it in like 20 minutes. But there's some people that literally will like to the ends of the earth follow that person and like throw tomatoes at them
Right.
forever. And I'm like, okay, you were definitely cheated on. yeah,
Something
there's
happened.
definitely like something that happened there. And it does show like a really bad, like the Coldplay guy. The guy at the Coldplay concert that was caught cheating on his wife with his HR specialist, the CEO.
Yeah.
That shit was funny. But at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I've never heard of this person before this happened. And it's just, I think the funniest part of that is that, like, it got caught on camera and it was so dramatic.
Didn't
And then
one of them like?
literally, he,
Yeah.
like, hid, and then she, like, hid her face. And she literally brought, like, another employee of her, the girl that's kind of going like this. She's literally like trying to hide her face because like she was an HR underling that person brought along to be like, oh, nothing's wrong, because there is like something to be said about like CEOs dating employees that are lower than them. Like, that could be considered a quid pro quo thing, where it's like you're receiving something by
Yeah.
like giving sexual favors to somebody.
Sure.
Yeah, that's like a
Harvey Weinstein.
Yep. Well, that
Yeah.
dude was a fucking freak, and that man is evil.
Yeah.
And yeah. That's like the whole, like, he was just psycho.
Isn't he getting out?
I don't know. I thought he was dead, but also I might be.
He might be dead. I don't know.
Yeah. At this rate, I haven't heard about him in a long time, but
Yeah.
like, yeah, he's definitely. He's rightfully publicly shamed. That man was a psychopath.
fuck him,
yeah, we
dude.
do not enjoy
He's such a-
that man.
Yeah, it's one of the two. He's either getting out of prison or he's dead. you know?
Yeah, honestly, they always get out. That's the thing. Like, there's
I
no
know.
death penalty for rape,
Is
unfortunately.
Kevin Spacey? He got out of prison, right?
He was never in prison. He just
Was he not?
No, he just
Ugh.
got
He's just
fired.
poor now.
Yeah, he just got fired from all his projects and then
Yeah.
tried to tell people that they were wrong for like, you don't know all the facts.
Yeah.
And like, he had a tough upbringing or whatever, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, you can't like promise people this thing and then bring them in your house and then like try to have sex with them.
All about duality.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm very sorry, but you know, who cares? Also.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not like happening to you specifically, then why do you care?
Right.
Right? It's like, if a dude does something like that to you, then you have all the right to be like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or if you hear someone like being just a major creep to people, be like, yeah, I hate that guy. But like, if it's a genuine just cheating scandal between two people that maybe they're famous and you really like, that sucks. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, welcome to the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that happens to everybody.
I think it's become so common to internalize the happenings of other people's lives. I think that's why people take it on so much nowadays.
Yeah.
Kind of just thought about
parasocial relationships.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what the term is, because it's literally like, you're like, oh, this person is my friend, because I
Right.
see every aspect of their life through like television, social media, and it's very easy to stalk them. And now
Yeah.
like, that's what kind of behavior that was like 30 years ago was like stalker behavior, where someone saw that and they're like, this person's my friend, even though you've never met them and you never will.
Yeah.
Like, total delusion. But now that's like on a
Yeah.
global scale.
It's kind of the same thing with, like, when I watch a 3-hour podcast, I feel like I know the person. Or if I watch somebody's podcast on a regular basis, there's a
Yeah.
part of me that thinks we're like friends.
Yeah, it's
you
like, I know how you feel about the situation, therefore we're cool. And he's
Right.
like, what's your name? Yeah, and then you really have to like separate yourself from that, because it's
No, sure.
genuinely, again, with like the community thing, like the old school human versus like the new age technology, it's like, you can see this person's brain, I guess, through like some kind of movie, TV
Yeah.
show, podcast, whatever, but you've never met them before.
Yeah.
But you think that you know them. But
No,
and you kind of
totally.
do, but they don't know you. So it's
Yeah.
very one-sided. It's very strange.
Very one-sided.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to ask you about is, as I'm editing these videos, I just, I find a place, I have a song, I got clips of the person, and at a certain point, maybe when the bass drops, I just press graphic, new text, and I type out verbal journal.
Yeah.
What would be your interest in making a graphic for the verbal journal?
I would do it.
Maybe,
Yeah.
Maybe not even like a moving graphic, but just like a sort of thing that looks like it's painted almost, or some sort of text that's all cool. And I was thinking there would be like something like this, and then there's like a pen, but at the end of it is like
The words.
or it's like a mic.
Oh.
At the end, instead of like a ballpoint,
Yeah.
know, it's like a microphone.
See, can I do something just more so what I had in mind? 'Cause,
Absolutely.
Yeah, I have like good ideas, but that actually sounds kind of complicated. But
Right.
I will do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I'll do
terrific.
something fun.
Yeah, at your leisure.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the verbal journal. Thanks, Maggie, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure as always.
Alrighty. We're out, folks.